Hello everybody, and welcome back to another fun session. We are now going to hear directly from some of our project leaders that have been delivering activities and contributing directly to the development of open digital ways of working. On the stage this afternoon we have Karin Anderson, who's going to be telling us about the project that she led on the infrastructure extensions. We're going to have Christian Erismann, who's going to talk to us about the railway aspect of infrastructure extensions, and they're both going to be supported by Thomas Liebich. We're also going to hear about the occupancy movement analysis project led by Jimmy Abualdenien and Pete Thompson. They're also working on a fire safety project, so that's worth listening to. Michel Rives is going to tell us about the tunnel project, and Fred Kloet is going to give us an update on the FM Open BIM activities and the industry insight papers. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to Karin and ask you to take it from here, please.
Well, thank you, Richard. This is not the first time I'm on this kind of stage with you guys, and I know I've been talking about this many times, but I actually think that this might be one of the last times. I introduced these last few years activities to you. I'm trying to be on several screens here. My name is Karin Andersson. I work for the Swedish Transport Administration, and I have been working in the infra room projects since 2017. I'm just one of many leaders who's been part of these projects, and you can see them listed here, and you've probably seen them many times and you've heard of them. And we hope now that these projects will have added the value that the industry is expecting, which I very much believe. We've been working for the last 10 years with this, and I want to just say a big thank you to our stakeholders who have been part of this. This is these are just the infra room stakeholders. There are other stakeholders who have been involved in the railway room for the last few years, and they've supported us very kindly, both with some cash funding, of course, to be able to pay for the technical resources that we've needed, but also with a lot of in-kind resources. And you can see a strong Nordic appearance there with all the countries of the Nordics represented: Denmark, Norway, Finland, and Sweden. And we are actually now looking at how to best implement this in at least a kind of similar way, as we do have the same contractors and consultants, and we are all bordering each other. So a big thank you to the stakeholders. Also, I want to thank you, the huge community who has been participating and has had the incredible patience of staying with us for all these years. We've had at least 16 countries involved in the various types of communications. We've had up to 21 stakeholders, I think it was on the last slide. But we've also, in the last stages of the projects, we've had a big community of software vendors and domain experts who have actively helped us validating and verifying that the standard is up to what we've been promising. And also we have, since the beginning of all these projects with long-stretched infrastructure, we've had more than 300 experts who have globally also attended the expert panels and the various working workshops and that we've had through these years. All the reports and results have been made available along the projects. We've had one of the first outcomes of the project was the overall architecture guideline, and that was quite a few years ago. And then we forgot the requirement analysis reports from all our projects. So IFC Bridge, IFC Road. We also have the Common Schema project. They are all available on the buildingSMART.org site. We also at the last summit, Jim Plume had a plenary presentation similar to what we're doing now, but that really acknowledged the project teams that had been involved in creating this standard. So I think that is also available under the events page on the buildingSMART.org. As I said, we've been working with this for many years now, and we haven't finished, but we have come to a stage where we actually have a published standard. It is going to ISO. It has been sent to ISO and is being worked with there, and we are expecting a candidate or an ISO standard at the end of the year. We will hear more about this during the summit. And there are a few projects also ongoing. There's the railway room that's going into a new phase. They have a kickoff during the summit here. In a couple of days, we have the infrastructure rooms continuing working with their roadmap. And the tunnel project, Michel will talk to you about in a few minutes. We have an expert panel that I'd like you to attend. If you've been attending our previous experts panels regarding the infra extensions from the infra room, we have a common expert panel tomorrow that will present the very last work that we've done with the MVDs and test instructions, etc. So we haven't seen the last, but it's at least a very important milestone, and you'll hear all about it during the summit. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Karin. There will be a full report published on the infra project, and there will be one on the rail project as well, which we're about to hear from now, from Christian. And we may bring you back into the call later, Karin, to actually help us answer some questions if we get the time.
That's good.
Hi, Christian. We can't hear you just at the moment.
Hello, everybody. Can you see the slides?
We hear you, and now we see the slides.
Great. Okay, great. That's good. Okay, thank you, Karin. I mean, this was a very good introduction into our common project, which rail is a part of this infrastructure project. And I just look a little bit around what have been done in just 4 years. We had the opportunity to start 2018 live after 1 year after the Memorandum of Understanding at the Barcelona Summit has been signed by the stakeholders. I come a little bit later on to the stakeholders of this project, and it was quite a challenge to bring it so fast up and running that we could achieve together with the infra room to this level where we are now, to a standard which is delivered as set to ISO. So the question came up. I see it's a little bit changed here in the presentation, but it doesn't matter. Okay, the question was really, is it possible really to do this in 4 years? Because this is what the stakeholders aimed for it, that they really get the digital twin very fast, because our stakeholders, they have some constraints, and they are, most of them are public owned companies, and they have to have a legal binding standard if they go to the tender documents with BIM. So they looked that they get this legal binding by having an official standard for it. And that's what we achieved so far in the part from design to construction. And we are just working now also on the handover. But part of the handover and operational part is some sister projects running on in USC with this rail topper model, or the rail system model, which is also very important for the rail operations. So some basic information. Thank you also to our stakeholders. It's a little bit smaller, as you have seen before in Karin's presentation, but it's mainly also railway companies from China, Switzerland, from the Nordics, all the Nordics railway companies, as well as French, Italy, and Austria. I hope I didn't forget anything. No, I think this is more or less our stakeholders. And these were really a very important part of it, that we also get so much support from the stakeholders that we could really work as it has been foreseen, that to move on. They supported us with many in-kind operations, as well as with this 4.6 million in cash. So what I mean with in-kind means these 100 domain technical experts and other technical experts working in the project as well. So 24 months, actually 2018 to 2022, not 21. It's because we finish now exactly 4 years after our start in Paris Summit, which was a challenging situation at the start, because how to bring all these languages and these cultural aspects together. So we defined to organize a PMO with all the language skills requested, except Italian, but the Italians speak all very good English, so this was not a problem. And so we had this PMO running with 5 people or 6 people with this language, and also technical skills requested for this project, which was a great success during this time, and a great pleasure to work with all these guys. Thank you. As you see now in the phase 2, we split up the project in a requirement part. The requirement part on the right side is mainly the part coming out from the business, so that we cover the business aspects in our tests and in our storylines. And on the left side was the implementers forum. This is the very technical part, to implement functionality into software. And here we had mainly also software vendors joining. As Karin said before, the software vendors we joined is also very, very nice success. Thank you all to this. And this we did together with the infra project, actually, so that we are sure that every functionality of the schema is understood from software vendors, so it can be implemented much more easier into the software suites during these days. So this is our collaboration with the infra project. Just quickly, that you see on the left side, we have the rail part. On the right side is the infrastructure part. Rail part in red, infrastructure part in yellow and blue. And the common part is yellow, and the infrastructure part is in blue. So that's how we collaborated during the last months, and it was quite demanding, but it was successful. We brought it together, and this is a huge thanks and a huge success for everybody which was in this project. I think at the end it was then, together with infra, more than 150 people working on it. Okay, we finished it. IFC Rail is part of this 4.3. Again, good stuff be done, and thanks to everybody. So the deliverable structure of the rail project is here in these 7 work packages. I have to move on. I cannot go into detail of these work packages, but there is on box, you can find this. It's in the presentation, what the deliverables are. And what you also find on box is a final report. And this final report covers actually all the different work packages as well we worked on in the project. So it's going from the project organization finally to the financials and the collaborations with other rooms, with software vendors, and also what stakeholders expected from us. That's all about. Again, big thank you to everybody, and for the confidence and the trust we could get during these 4 years. I probably also talked to you last time, and looking forward to see this implementation in many software suites. Thank you.
Thanks, Christian. Is Dan, has Thomas Liebich arrived? I can't see. If not, I'll bring... oh, he is here. Okay, yeah. In that case, Thomas, I'm going to ask Christian, I'm going to ask you and Karin to come back in after Thomas has spoken, and we'll have a brief conversation before the next presentations. But as Thomas is here, we'll let him continue for now. So Thomas, are you talking about your support of the progression of these two projects, which have been combined into the IFC 4.3 and are now on their way to becoming an ISO standard?
Correct. That will be the topic of my talk for the next 5 to 7 minutes. And I will also present a little bit in my dual role, first helping buildingSMART to integrate IFC 4.3 and also the projects to prepare it. But now I'm also engaged directly at ISO as a convener of this joint working group 12, which is the working group in the subcommittee 13, which stands for BIM within TC 59, which stands for construction. Can I move the slide by myself? Oh yeah, okay. So I think already Karin has showed this kind of overview diagram, and I would like to take it from her presentation to show you the remaining steps until the absolutely final release of IFC 4.3 as an ISO standard. It will be the third edition of ISO 16739. The first edition was IFC 2x3, the second was IFC 4, and now the third one will be IFC 4.3. And I think it's important to bring it into ISO because it covers a whole new set of domains, the infrastructure domains, and as also some of the previous speakers said, particularly for government organizations that are the major stakeholders in infrastructure, having an ISO standard is also a very important milestone. So the route into ISO really starts with the submission here, which I think Karin already presented, of those projects, mainly the combined railroad and port and waterways projects that happened by the mid of last year, where they presented the project results to buildingSMART International for the final integration. And then as part of the preparation process for the ISO submission within buildingSMART International, this work had been integrated into the, let's say, main development fork, as you can see here in this red part of the diagram of IFC 4.3. And in parallel, there were also some updates on the existing building domain, the one that represents, that had been represented solely by IFC 4. And these two development streams combined led us to the intermediate stage last month in March, where we combined all this development work and submitted it to the ISO working group, which is, I think, shown in the next slide. So today we started this process. There is in ISO the so-called new work item, the NWI, that had been created by end of last year by a decision of the national standardization bodies to officially start the ISO acceptance process of IFC 4.3. This ballot was 100% positive, so all participating national standardization bodies had agreed to it. So that gave us an overwhelming positively result. And now the actual technical work, the work by the ISO technical team, which should be a joint ISO and buildingSMART technical team, will start in 2 weeks on the 6th of April, based on this submission, the IFC 4.3 ISO submission from last month. And there will be a period of about half a year, roughly 6 months, in which this joint ISO and buildingSMART team should make a final assessment of the submitted schema, its documentation, and also make the final adjustment steps to make it an ISO deliverable. During this time, there will have to be a decision that the next balloting, the next voting in ISO can be straight for the so-called DIS, which is the Draft International Standard. We hope that this process will go on as positively as the initial acceptance of the new work item agreement. And if this is the case, then the DIS ballot, the final voting for making IFC and the national ISO standard would start in October this year. That also means that the IFC 4.3 schema at that time will be marked as being final and not to be changed, because after this the ballot starts, I think we can't accept any further amendments. And hoping that the ballot will only bring it so-called documentation issues and no technical issues, it would mark two things. First, that the October version is the absolutely final version. It's also the version that would then be rigid for all kinds of certification and implementation activities. And at the same time, it would also mark the finally accepted ISO standard, which is expected then in early spring 2023. So this, I think, was an overview of what can be expected for the next, let's say, half a year till 1 year of remaining time for achieving the ISO acceptance for IFC 4.3. And I will, give it back to Richard.
Excellent, thank you, Thomas. And if you just stop sharing, and then we'll invite Christian and Karin back onto the stage for a moment. We'll wait for them to arrive. It is an incredible program, the IFC 4.3 program. You know, it's a combination of projects that have been delivered through the infrastructure room, through the railway room, and also this coordination with ISO, and obviously having it approved by ISO gives it the credibility that it deserves. I mean, I'm talking, I suppose, specifically to Karin and Christian now. You're both very experienced project directors. You know, have you ever known a project like it in your career?
I think it's a unique project, getting all these people together and actually having such a big community to work with. I think it's been really exciting. And it's a very long project, and I think people can say standardization takes a long time, but I think we need that because it needs to be sustainable for the future, and robust.
It's also been very in-depth as well. I mean, Christian, how about you?
Do you want to know what a good friend from me, which has a very experienced project manager told me when I showed him what has to be done? He said, if you want to make you unhappy, do the project. And I said, okay, I want to make me unhappy.
Well, you're still smiling. You're always smiling, Christian. So
yeah, I'm always smiling. That's true. Maybe this is the reason why we could bring together also the people so close together and work so well together. And it was a challenge, but as I said, I mean, one of the most important success factor for me was the very well-doing team in PMO and also in technical service. They collaborated so well together, and it was really a team which was working very close together, and we didn't have so much fight. Sure, we had fights. This is normal, but it was the team which made the difference, and this is very good. That's what I liked.
Yeah, it helped. Yeah. I gave an explanation this morning actually about the different work streams that have gone together to deliver the IFC 4.3. I mean, one thing that strikes me is that the user commitment, the client commitment to these projects on both sides, in infrastructure and railway, has been huge, both in terms of their time commitment and their monetary commitment, but also the delivery team capabilities. You know, the people that we've had working in the projects, you know, working with your team, Karin, and your team, Christian, have been amazing. And we will be publishing reports for all the projects and an overarching piece as well, to make sure that these people do get the recognition they deserve. But what would you say was the hardest aspect to overcome over the last few years in the delivery of this new standard? Your opinions are welcome here as well, Thomas, of course. In fact, let's start with Thomas, because you've probably been on this for longest. You know, what do you think has been the hardest aspect to overcome?
Well, yes, I mean, I have experience back to IFC 1.0, which at the maximum brought maybe 10 people at the same time into one room and not hundreds, as we have seen nowadays. So yes, there's a big difference. I mean, I think the hardest, honestly, what I have seen is that we have taken certain developments at the same time, which if you would have an idle case, you might have done it one after the other. So we had really a change of the, let's say, technology to be used for developing IFCs. We had seen the change of the procedures to be used for the development IFCs, also the governance and all this project input, and managing all these things with all its interdependencies, yeah, at the same time. That was really a very hard challenge, and I really have high respect to people like Christian and Karin and others to have taken several steps, often because of some of these uncertainties coming by the desire to make this change at these various levels more or less in the same period.
Indeed, I agree with that. Karin?
Well, I think the first few years we were working with IFC Road project, for example, we had the possibility to meet and to create relationships in this, which makes it a much easier environment to work with. This is probably more a success factor than anything else, because when we had to stay at home and not meet so often, we could continue working with this very strong relationship and respect for each other. And I think that's been a real that's been one of the real strengths of the projects, in my view.
Yeah,
I think the challenges that Thomas is mentioning, of course, very important. But we're here now, and I think we've produced something really good. So I'm just really eager now to see all the implementations, and and that's another hopefully not too long wait we will have to go through.
Yeah, I mean, certainly all the presentations that we gave this earlier on today referred to the implementation phase and how to deploy this for real in contracts. Christian, any further thoughts from you?
Yeah, I mean, what Thomas said is absolutely true. I mean, we had to work so hard on new things, certain processes, which was very, very effortful, let's say this one way. And the first year was for me the most challenging one, to bring the team together. I mean, as a project leader, you have really to do everything that people work together, and this was a big effort. But as Karin said, after 1 year, it worked well from the rail side. They knew each other already a little bit longer, as we know, as we heard, and we came together just as a certain Paris summit, go 100% within 6 months. And this was very, very effortful, and yeah, a lot of efforts to be done. But also with the help of Thomas, I remember our first workshop in ETH at Zurich. So I think it was really a good team.
Excellent.
Yes. Maybe just as last word, I think people always makes a difference. And I think we simply had great people that trusted each other, and then you can also overcome some challenges, yeah, if you have a strong desire and trust in each other, and also fun. which is also important. And at least the time when we were still able to meet, we had hard work and good fun, and both, I think, is a guarantee for good success.
Yeah.
We missed the beers.
Absolutely.
The community is people, and that's a very important factor. There's a question in the chat which we can't answer now about the tooling. Any lessons learned in terms of the tooling? Yes, there was. We'll put those into the reports. There was a lot of development on the tooling, understanding and development, and also on the process of how building-smart projects should be delivered. So yeah, lots of developments there. I just want to give one more shout out with the two leaders of the rooms, the infrastructure room, Tina Pertula, and the railway room, Winfried Stix. They've also shown great resilience and great leadership and great management of people and the programs throughout all this, and have supported the projects throughout. We better progress, I think, because we're going to run out of time. So thank you very much for the three of you for coming along and giving that update. And we'll be talking more about the IFC 4.3 throughout the rest of this week. So speak to you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye, thank you.
Bye-bye.
So I want to bring to the stage now two people who are representing a project in the building room. And this project is the occupancy movement analysis. It's part of a wider program of activities we've got going on to do with fire safety. So I'm introducing Jimmy and Pete, who are going to give you an update. Hi, folks.
Hi, Richard.
So you have control, and whichever one of you is going to share should be able to share now.
Jimmy?
Hi, Pete. Hi, Richard. I just shared my screen. I hope you see it.
We now see it. Thank you.
All right, perfect. So, hello, everyone. This project is focused on occupant movement analysis, including pedestrian circulations and evacuation. So here you see the core team, which is from different countries, like really international. And yeah, so now I would like to give you a motivation for the project. Yeah, so the design process usually progresses through multiple design phases. In those phases, multiple disciplines work together, from architecture to structural, MEP, electrical, and so on. And they try to develop the design really further. In this process, multiple decisions are made based on performance results, which are really necessary for compliance to regulations. For our case, for example, we can care about escape routes and evacuation times that they need to fulfill a country-specific criteria or maybe timing, for example. And usually practitioners try to achieve or evaluate the performance with the help of external or additional tools that have domain experts that can do the different kind of evaluations. Currently, once the design is detailed, building models are exchanged as drawings or even 3D models. However, currently many things are missing from those models, and additional manual input is required for those simulation or analysis tools to fulfill the different kind of needs and requirements. And then those analysis tools can evaluate different scenarios and bring back results to inform the design and give more feedback to the different designers if the performance of their design is capable of fulfilling the different requirements or not. If the performance is not really fulfilling the requirements, then the design is improved, refined, and modeled further, and then is sent back again for evaluation. So this kind of a process is iterative and keeps happening until the performance of the design is fulfilling the requirements or fulfilling building codes and different kind of needs. And at that point, then the design is accepted and developed further. This process, as you can imagine, is time-consuming, and it's also prone to errors because you need to add manual input, and it requires a lot of work to really make this kind of connection and workflow smooth and well connected. And since it also happens later in the design, when the design is really advanced, then making substantial changes is complex and expensive. And therefore, we aim in this project to improve this by providing a better workflow that's based on openBIM. And we want to make those analysis tools accessible through all phases. And we want to use building models that are definitely smart representation of building models that are complete and include all the necessary information in a standardized way. I mean, you just saw the presentation before about IFC for X3, and standardization takes time, but it's really necessary to have complete models and smooth exchange between the different kind of softwares. To achieve this, we need to define something called model view definition. This model view definition, or for short MVD, acts as a contract that describes the need of simulation tools to make it easy from the different kind of BIM authoring tools to export IFC models that are fulfilling those needs. And also that all those kind of analysis tools, they can follow this MVD to easily parse and understand the exchanged models and can have this kind of smooth and automatic workflow. Yeah, so this is exactly the aim of our project, that we want to have all of the tools connected and smoothly exchanging models to have a smooth way of doing simulations during the phases of the design. So we submitted an activity proposal, and then we started with requirement analysis to develop comprehensive use cases. Afterwards, IFC extension or investigation of missing information from the IFC schema will be performed. And I mean by missing information, it could be it could be missing object types, but maybe not. It could be just simple property sets and properties that can be defined as common property sets and properties that people can follow and adhere to. Our project is divided into 2 phases. At the moment, we are finalizing the use cases here, which means that we are at the end of phase 1. Then after we have all the use cases completed and published, then the evaluation of the existing schema and how can we really fulfill the needs of those use cases will start. In this regard, I would like here also to thank our funder, like partial funding from the Ministry of Transport and Digitalization and Amfund, that they supported our activities in this project. Through the project, there were multiple international groups interested in our activities. Here you see a list of the involved expert panel members. So we had multiple meetings with the different expert panel members, sometimes in big groups, sometimes in special meetings as well, to understand the workflows in the different countries, and also get their feedback from the current workflows and processes in practice today. We thank them for their contributions. As for our deliverables, we here you see the first process map that we developed. So we started developing process maps, and then from process maps we continued with exchange requirements and different things that can make the use cases complete. So a use case has multiple parts. Process maps, exchange requirements are really the main essential parts of it. So here you see the circulation analysis part. We started by defining actors or disciplines that are part of the process. And for each one of them, we try to assign responsibilities, and then we take into account the interaction and exchange of information between the different actors. And then we also emphasize and investigate the decision points that happen between those actors. Especially, we focused on modelers that can be architects and engineers, and their interaction with simulation experts. that take IFC files and do different kind of scenarios analysis, and then perform the analysis and then send back results for evaluation. So here you see this process for circulation, and then afterwards we worked on evacuation. So the first one was for circulation, then we started working on evacuation for different countries. Here you see this this process map. It's based on the RIBA guideline. The RIBA is well established in the UK, if you wonder, and I don't expect you to read it well if it's not clear. We will share links later that you can access those and read them in detail. Then finally, we developed international process maps that cover flows in different countries, because we noticed in the UK the RIBA is well established, but in other countries like the United States and also in Germany, the actors involved and the exchange of information is a bit different. And here you can see that we have different kind of actors involved, and even the interaction and decision points are a little bit different. But we are happy that we managed to have one process map that can cover multiple countries at the same time, and this gives the international flavor for our project. So from process maps, in the process maps, we saw exchange of information. So you see here, for example, we are exchanging an IFC file between a modeler and a simulation expert. So what kind of information this simulation expert expects in this IFC file? And to answer this question, we started making now exchange requirements list. But since we are still at the first phase, here we try to develop it on a high level. So you see here that we have categories, we have subcategories, and then we have the different kinds of analysis. And yeah, so here in phase 2, each one of those will be defined in more detail, where object types and properties will be listed and then mapped and matched with the existing IFC properties and schema. Yeah, so I mean, we will try to highlight any needs that are missing, and hopefully it's not that big need, or big need for a new object. It could be properties and hopefully smooth properties that we can use. So this is for exchange requirements, but then once we do the simulation or analysis, there will be analysis results, and we want to bring those results into the design or to the two designers. And here we thought that it could make sense and add value if we can attach those results to the design or to the model back. Everyone knows IFC can handle adding more information, but it could be that maybe we don't need to extend IFC to include all of the properties or all of the new information inside it. And this is why we came up with multiple possibilities. The first one is include some basic summaries as properties and values. The other approach is linking properties with external files as using IFC external links. And the last one is by using the information container ISO standard. So here at TOOM, for example, we did a lot of experiments and implementations with it, and we saw how powerful it could be for linking or mapping objects to different kinds of results. Yeah, I know it's a little bit challenging to absorb and give a quick summary of everything we have done so far. This is why I would really invite everyone to access our published use cases on the use case management tool that's provided by buildingSMART. I think you need to log in. You need to have credentials to log in and see the full use cases. And without login, you can see only the basic information available. So if you want to see all the details with everything I showed so far, you can log in, create credentials and log in, and then have a look. And we look forward to hear your feedback or opinions if you have any improvements that you can see. Now I will hand over to Pete for the next steps.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Pete, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Yep. So if you can just click through the sequence as we talk, that'd be great. Just a quick update. I'm Pete Thompson from Autodesk. I've been helping a little to coordinate some of the developments that Jim has described. We have been considering 3 related MVD development areas. The first is regulatory, and we know that there are regulatory activities planned in the regulations room, and that will be presented in session RR2 at the summit, which would be great if you could attend that. For the fire, smoke and structure analysis, last year we applied for EU funding as part of a large automated regulations process bid, but that was unfortunately unsuccessful in a very competitive call. On the occupant movement side, Jimmy's described the great progress underway for the occupant movement MVD, undergoing phase 2 work soon. I'd like to thank Jimmy for all his hard work there. Overall, and next up for fire safety engineering, we will make a direct appeal to industry for a moderate amount of funding to be shared between Greenwich and Lund universities with in-kind contributions for reviewers. Indeed, the International Fire Safety Standards Consortium recently made a big call for action on the Decade for Action to encourage this kind of development. So that's being presented in the BR2 general update on Wednesday by Asim, Peter and Enrico, and it will be great to see as many of you there as possible because we want to get that second phase underway. And that's it from me, Jimmy.
Yeah, I would like just to add that for the occupant movement analysis, and yeah, we are trying to also write a white paper that we hope also to have it ready by June. So it will start from maybe from April, beginning of April, and hopefully we will have a draft ready, and then yeah, get it also out there with all the ideas that we have, how we see the big picture of combining another performance-based design with also a prescriptive design. Okay.
Thank you very much, Jimmy and Pete. Yeah, I'm enjoying working with you on this project. Particularly delighted, as I said this morning, to see that you've used the new the new buildingSMART international use case management service for uploading those use cases. It's important. We're using that service now for the rooms to establish their long-term roadmaps. It's also very important that we can have them there so that the rest of the community can understand what's available and what's being done, so they don't keep reinventing the wheel. I'm getting hurry up noises from the team behind the scenes, so unfortunately we don't have time for questions, but as you say, you're presenting again later in the week. I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Perfect. Thank you.
So I'm inviting to this, we're going underground now, back to infrastructure and going underground. I'm inviting to the stage Michel Rives, who's going to talk to us about the tunnel project. Hi, Michel.
Hi, Richard. Thank you.
You can share your screen already.
Yep.
I'll confirm to you when we can see it.
Yep. Let me see. I need to share slides again. Let me see.
We found the share button at the bottom, and then it should give you, I think it's coming on. There we are. We see your slides.
Okay.
Over to you, Michel.
Okay. Thank you very much. Michel Rives, my name, and I'm running a consulting company that's called Vianova. We are based in Paris, but we act internationally. We've been doing BIM for infrastructure projects for 15 years. Not to say that has been easy, but since IFC 4.1 with the alignment project, and then now today IFC 4.3, it's clear that it is getting more and more efficient to exchange geo-referenced and properly geo-referenced and structured information in between disciplines as part of the development of an infrastructure project. And that I can report as running BIM management for big underground projects, metro projects, and railway projects too. As project manager for buildingSMART International, I'll provide you here with an update on the IFC for tunneling initiatives. I'll take this discussion as well as a teaser for the 2 expert panels that we are running at the end of the week. But let me first start by reporting upon the fact we have really a terrific team of more than 45 people. They come from all over the world, and that includes Japan, New Zealand, Australia, Brazil, most countries in Europe. And we've started as well a very interesting collaboration since the beginning of the year with the Federal Highway Administration in the US. All this is extremely interesting, the way we get to international consensus. Altogether, I'm happy as well to report upon the fact that, for example, the Portuguese Tunneling Association has joined us very recently, and I made a quick math in terms of assessing the amount of work we've put into this project. Altogether, it probably leads to something close to 1.2 million euros of billable hours that all this team has spent into this project. Profile of our stakeholders. We have 12 main stakeholders: transportation agencies, ministries of transportation, geotechnical services bureau, civil engineering bureaus, system engineers, prescriptive agencies, and research bodies. And this would include, for example, the University of Bochum, the University of Munich, University of Florida, University of Leoben in Austria, and University of Sao Paulo in Brazil. We are still open to welcome other bodies, and we have actually ongoing exchanges with some very interesting potential new partners. I want to say as well that we developing this conceptual model and those exchange mechanisms have taken as well the route to initiate in a collaboration with the International Tunneling Association, the International Association of Engineering Geologists, and the OpenGIS Consortium, so they can look at what we build, at what we provide from an end user perspective as well, external to our team. And when talking about international consensus, we are reporting on our progress to a series of national associations in different countries, more than 10 actually, and we got over 200 comments and wishes for extensions of what we had provided initially. So this project that we started in June 2019 has led to a first version of our conceptual model for the 3 main disciplines that are embedded into our project, being geotechnics, structural design, and systems. And this conceptual model, in this first version, we released by the end of 2021, and by the end of this month, we have a consolidated version that we will be proposing for review through the experts panels that we run at the end of the week. When it comes to detailing a bit the parameter of what we have specified, it covers geotechnics from the perspective of geotechnics itself, but geology and hydrogeology as well. Anything that is needed for assessing best the development of an underground structure, of a tunnel. When it comes to structures, we talk about everything that is needed to describe excavation, support, and lining, and the different construction methods that are used, depending upon, of course, the soil configuration that is foreseen or that is encountered. And that would include TBM-based construction methods, or drill and blast, or cut and cover structures. So these being the 3 main types of construction methods being used all over the world, again, depending upon the soil that exists in the different regions of the world. And by systems, we mean everything that allow a tunnel to be operated, and that will include the ventilation system, lighting, drainage, dewatering, safety, evacuation, as well as high voltage and low voltage provision. So these experts of our teams, organized in 3 different domain teams covering the 3 disciplines, they provided a very solid set of taxonomies, which were then used to compile a conceptual model, again, that covers the three disciplines. And as far as our next steps, we are very much engaged in preparing everything that is related to the specification of the exchanges themselves through testing instructions, as well as the preparation of real-world projects data sets to be used for testing purposes. Next to these 3 domain teams, we have a tech team that is on its side looking at the required extensions that we wish in terms of advanced geometries. And that would include things like the way to modelize properly nonlinear transition in between cross sections, which, by the way, if it is a requirement for tunnel design, it's a requirement for bridge design as well. The second advanced geometry is related to using 3D grids, so-called voxels, which allow to provide a representation of non-continuous situations. And for example, for the underground cases, you would represent the probability of characteristics of the soil, subsoil, through the use of those 3D grids, with different properties that are associated with every single cell in the grid. And last but not least, a way to link as well data that is stored in other formats, external data, and typically that would apply to observations, but not only, but that would allow us to make a link to data file that would be stored in DIGS or AGS formats, for example, DIGS being very much used in the US, AGS in the UK. And therefore linking the 2, the conceptual model with the external file formats. The team has been working as well on optimizing the conceptual model itself, so through the, of course, the setup of the different objects in the different disciplines that I mentioned earlier, and the properties that are associated with it, and the generation of the conceptual model documentation. So that is something that we've done, again, back December 2021, and refined for the purpose of this virtual summit, March 2022. We came at, I mean, the outcome of all this led to the mapping of some of the concepts that we need to existing features in 4.3. So that was, of course, an excellent news for us to be in a capacity to branch ourselves to existing features or to extend these. And we came as well to a set of new domains extensions for a 4.4 release subsequent to 4.3. Our activity plan as of today for 2022 will lead us to leverage all the modelization work that we've done through the UML work in the Enterprise Architect tool, and the set of automated processes that can be generated from this new production platform. Like a set of automated consistency checks that we can run directly from this new platform, the generation of the extra schema, the generation of anything that is needed to prepare translation, for the translation, the preparation of the input required for the BSDD solution, and mainly related to classification. We have work to do in terms of assessing and potentially extending a bit the alignment-based reference view MVD, which we depend upon, but that is fully logical. And we need to provide the specifications of the so-called concept templates, object templates, so that the exchange can be structured properly. We've started as well to engage into the candidate standard process by running a set of rather in-depth technical discussions with the BSI SCTE committee. And that of course comes before the SCTE voting itself, but basically we take into account the different technical advices that or pieces of advice that we are being provided with from by SCTE. That's a very interesting, of course, set of discussions with the goal to optimize the schema. And next, and I hope we can start this by fall this year. Next will be, of course, the submission to the through the ISO process. And last but not least, given we have as well software developers as part of our team members, and again, but still looking at extending this set of software developers, we've started as well to plan the production of what's required for the testing instructions themselves, as required by the B-Cert team, the BSI B-Cert team, and to help, of course, the implementation itself. And there we will be mimicking, leveraging the really terrific deployment plan that has been used for railway and roadway as part of 4.3. I made a quick stats in terms of where we fit compared to the railway projects, for example, in terms of domain concepts in the 3 disciplines, excavation systems and geotechnics, where we stand in terms of the ones we've mapped or extended and the ones that are clearly new and the predefined types. And it appears that is somehow similar in size. Which gives you just an overview of the amount of work that is behind this project as produced by the team I was referring to earlier. So I think we are in good shape to have a candidate standard by the summer, and as I said, hope to initiate the ISO submission by fall this year. As this is, of course, a clear expectations on behalf of the stakeholders that are supporting us. So there's a quick update I wanted to give you, and if you are interested, we'll give a very detailed set of presentations on Thursday, March 31st this week, in our expert panel number 1, 2:30, that's CET time. And on Friday, 10 CET time again, where really you'll get a much more detailed perspective of this conceptual model we provide, and all the objects that are part of it. So that is what I wanted to give you as an update. Richard, over to you.
Michel, thank you very much. It is a fantastic project and being very well run, I have to say. Just to say that although the tunnel project will generate a newer iteration of the IFC, that won't affect any software that anybody produces regarding IFC 4.3. And it also makes us aware of the need for more geotechnics work within the community that serves both the infrastructure and the building domains. Michel, unfortunately, we don't have time for any questions, but thank you very much. Before I invite our next speaker, I'm just going to announce to the audience we're going to start our next session at 10 past the hour. We're moving it back 20 minutes just because we've had such a rich contribution in this session. So I'm now introducing Fred Kloet, and we're going back to the building room, and Fred's going to talk to us about work that he and the extended project team have been doing on FM and openBIM, glorious use cases that they've published or about to publish. Hi, Fred.
Hi, Richard. On share, do I click slides or share screen?
Share screen.
Share screen.
I think it just says share, actually. It's got a little cross in the middle of it. And if you've got 2 screens, it will give you the option of which one you want to share. We're now seeing your presentation.
Okay, here we go. Welcome. I'm giving you an update on the facility management and openBIM project of the building room. On this first page, you see the project team members that are participating: buildingSMART Benelux, BIM-Connected, House of Commons Canada, the ISO TC267 for the ISO 41000 of FM, Public Real Estate Network, Global FM, IFMA IT Community, Facility Management Netherlands, Microsoft Real Estate and Security, the Zurich Hochschule für Integrated FM, the Scottish Future Trust, the BIM specialists, and we were funded by Stadspeak and sponsored by POM Plus. This is a slide that we had last year as well, which is a slide that has the basics on the project, where we come from, and you can click on the white paper here, and it brings you to the FM software providers that already started writing 3 white papers earlier, and you can download them all in English. As in the last sentence says, ISO 41000 series as a precondition to guarantee the user perspective. Because what we want to do is develop a facility management information requirement standard, a facility management information delivery manual / handover standard, and a facility management CDE standard. And we're going to deliver that draft ISO standards, and we hope the ISO TC267 will embrace them. As a matter of fact, and I'll come that to, where is it? No, it was on the first page here. You see that the ISO 267 here is part of our project team. So we have the global chair of the ISO project, and we have the convener of the FM technology work group participating in this buildingSMART international project in order to have a good connection, not just now, but also for the future. The business case was already explained in the project plan, and the deliverables I was just talking about, the 3 ones. You can, at the right bottom here, if you have this presentation, you can download the full approved detailed project plan. We have 5 work groups that delivered content for 5 industry insight papers, and they are the basis for the FM and openBIM golden thread. On this slide, you see on the right-hand side how that works. The work groups are in the blue at the top. Then there's a white paper delivered to the project team that will make golden thread FM and openBIM on the basis of that. And then the second project, the actual writing of the standards by work groups will take place. On the left-hand side on this slide, you see all the participating work group members from various industries, from various clients and domains. And that's, of course, one of the difficulties in facility management, that the variety of business processes to serve is wide. We decided to use the work groups and the industry insight papers that are going to be delivered as official part of the standards governance process, meaning that the industry insight papers have been brought to the building room steering committee for approval, for feedback, in order to make them an official publication of buildingSMART in this project in April 2022, coming months. The first one I'm showing you the results of is the asset maintenance for hospitals project use case. This is a very important one because the hospitals are very closely connected already to the openBIM BIM world around the globe. And here the results are a description of the business case, answering how to update the models with the latest FM attribute data, real-life use cases in this white paper, and failure cost examples for clients and providers. And what you see in a lot of these 5 white papers is that the focus on the navigation, the integration, the connection of the ISO 55000 for asset management, the ISO 19650 and the ISO 41000 in order to bring those worlds together as an input for the FM and openBIM golden thread. The business catering and corporate offices, they chose to focus on a very specific part, which is the design of catering kitchens. And at the bottom here, you see also www.ifcbim.org. And that's because we discovered that there is a large organization with 1,500 members of all kitchen equipment providers and producers. And they already connected or used the openBIM approach. And some of this work group members made a check on what they've done. And together we decided that it would be very smart to have their work integrated with the buildingSMART international work, because it is a very strong, how do you say that, connection at place already. Then the workplaces in public government real estate project. Again, on the top hand side, you see what we presented last year where's this work group heading? And at the bottom side, there's results. In this white paper, one can read about how openBIM-based asset management can help delivering efficient workplace management and creating clarity on why real estate organizations should adopt BIM as technical tool in their digital core. Again, the connection with the other standards, the PDCA lifecycle, failure cause, other use cases, and the benefits of using openBIM by clients and workplace providers. Here you can see clearly that this is about industry insight papers. What do we need? What does FM need from the openBIM, the IFC, the BSDD, from the whole world that buildingSMART International is providing, and make that world of workplace management aware of what's already out there and can be used. The cleaning of airports, also a working group with good participation. We had some very good and large airports participating here. Again, connecting various ISO standards, identifying similarities in information requirements for asset management, models and FM cleaning airport operations, showing how to use openBIM and proactive OPEX budgeting of cleaning airports. And this is an important one as well, because we had some people from the, let's call them the asset management side, the real estate side, the BIM side of things, who were not aware of the fact that cleaning of airports was one of the largest budgets of an airport, because cleaning of airports takes place normally without a corona 24/7, 365 days a year, as it does with hospitals, of course. And here this particular work group focused more on the addressing the need and the opportunities for FM, openBIM, the information requirements, delivery manual handover, and the creation of an FM CDE. And the fifth and last work group on space and area measurement at universities. Here we can talk about more tomorrow, when Patrick Wallace, who was one of the work group leaders, is also presenting with me at the building room in the afternoon. Results were here proposing a protocol to facilitate the space management process framed by the ISO 19650, defining what organization information requirements are regarding space management. And there was a very good live use case here, real life use case by Coventry University. The next thing we are going to do now, and we hope to do that in April, is writing this FM and openBIM golden thread. We do need input and experts from all of you. So please feel free to help us with this. This is something new. This is something maybe even crazy, but we think integrating all those domains, all those worlds and technicalities and standards is what facility management is all about. Interoperability, integrated facility management. And this is planning we're going to follow for the coming months. April will be a heavy month. We're now 2 months behind schedule. We still hope to find funding for Project 2 in April. Working hard to get that, but facility management is usually at the end of the life cycle and ecosystem. So let's see if there's still some money left to get the users and the clients have their open BIM standards. And feel free to help us with that, because Q1 2023 we want to deliver the standards. And the good thing is we are very closely connected with the both the CEN and the ISO TCs on their strategy and their roadmap. So we have something unique going on, but we still need some help. If you want to help us, have questions, here's a list of the project team members. Please contact them, ask them, get involved and help the world of facility management being connected with the open BIM products and services of buildingSMART International. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. That was great. It's really fantastic actually to see that now we've got so many activities that are actually focusing on what the users need. It's like we've put down the bedrock of IFC over all these years, and there's now opportunities to deliver outcomes. I can't ask any questions, unfortunately, because we need to get the next session started and invite the next speakers into the back office and set them all up. So thanks ever so much, Fred. And,
okay, see you all tomorrow.
During the week. And as you say, people can contact you or follow you on LinkedIn, and they'll no doubt get regular updates. We're going to have a short break now, and we will be getting started as soon as possible. If you leave your screens on, and then you'll be aware when the next session has started. But for now, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you to all of our speakers on this session for your contribution, and actually thank you to everybody in the Solutions and Standards Programme that's delivering these projects and many more besides. I look forward to seeing you during the rest of the week. Bye-bye.